welcome back to our watch-along series here at We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters dive into all things romance. This week, we're chatting about episode 2 of Bridgerton season 1, and boy is this one a doozy. Rachel reveals that she would probably hate our heroine Daphne if she met her in real life. Alison has an epiphany, and we uncover a redeeming quality of the Church of England. Remember to leave us a rating and review, check out our brand new Etsy store, and tune in for the rest of the series. Enjoy the show. So, Rachel, so listener, this is something that we think it's important to know, for everyone to know. In the same vein of when we did Isn't It Romantic, and we were like, we should memorize our license plate number because obviously, like, in case you get kidnapped. So this is like similar vein, except like kind of the inverse. So Rachel, you have to, listener, I want you to answer, like, I'm going to ask a question and you need to answer it in like a second. Okay, you need to immediately, and like, listener, like DM us or like put it in the review for this episode, like what your answer is. No cheating. Like, first thing that comes to mind. Ready? What's your fake name?
Rosalie Bennett. I told you. I say that because I've used it before. Listen, because remember I forget why Rosalie, but like for some reason we were coming up with names that started with an R, like our same initials. Remember? Oh, when we were going to change our last name to be 3 words. Anyway, I asked this question of Alison and my mom, and Alison's answer was Barbara Manatee, which is excellent. And then we asked our brother, whose name is Stefan with an F, like Stefan. And he was like, Stefan with a PH. Which is smart. Listen, it's smart. Also has an F in it.
Yeah, and he was like that with a PH. Yeah, so listener, like, write in, email us, DM us. I want to know what your fake names are if you're ever on the run. It's really difficult to come up with it on the spot, like all those details. So you should have like something ready, an alias ready to go.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So now, today we're talking about season 1, episode 2, Bridgerton.
We begin with a very traumatic birth scene.
Yeah, we're going to get Simon's background.
In which we see a perfect textbook illustration of how one horny French king fucked up maternal and infant mortality rates for centuries by having women lie on their backs to give birth. Listener, if you didn't know, that is the worst position to be in if you're giving birth. The worst position, because it like you know how when you poop, like we have the squatty potty so that like it like releases your tube, whatever, your like poop tube. It's the same thing for giving birth. When you're on your back, like it's not, it like scrunches it, so it's harder for the baby to come out. And also gravity is your friend. Gravity pulls the baby out. Why would you lay on your back where gravity can't help? And it's all because some horny French king had a weird birthing kink and liked to watch. So
yeah, and like ostensibly you don't even really need to push. Like that's what really gets me.
You don't
like
need to
your
push.
Body just does contraction, like the same way that you like. If you're not like, it's wild.
You don't need, the fact that they're always like push, like in this scene, they're just like one push after another, and I'm like, no,
that's
or
like
just have her squat, and they used to before this French king, and like, and it's really interesting because there's I think it's in like The White Princess or something, which is like about the first Tudor queen, like Queen Elizabeth, of like Henry VII, whatever. But she's giving birth and she's like squatting, and I'm pretty sure they used to have like stools that had like a little hole in the bottom so that the baby would just fall through, so the mom could sit, and then the baby, like they would just catch the baby when they fell, and like that's how it should be. That's how it should be. It doesn't make sense to lay on your back.
No, it really does. But like, I guess I think that my first concern with this was like, can you still get an epidural? And I think you can though, like, right?
You can't fully lay down with an epidural.
What do you mean?
Because like it's in your back.
Wait,
so you have to sit up, and they have a little.
They put like bars. A hole in the table.
No, they have like a bar that you like hold on to, like that comes up. You can't lay down when you have the epidural because the needle's there. and it's there the whole time.
No, I mean, that makes
listener.
sense, but for some reason I was like, they should design tables that have like a hole in it. Or I guess you shouldn't be laying down
Yeah.
anyway, but unclear
There
if
was
like the sitting up is better though, because then you're if anything, you're putting like more pressure on your like lower half and that
squatting. It's squatting or
the
or
squat. I
water
know, I
birth.
know, I know. I'm just
Water
saying like
birth.
I know. I'm saying like slightly sitting up. I don't really think that's actually
Right.
any better than
Right.
fully laying down. Yeah.
Honestly, it's the day that I found out that epidurals are not
Why would
just a
water
shot
birth be better?
because you can like squat and it takes off like the pressure from your joints. Like it allows you to, I don't know,
I
whatever.
feel like that's good though. Okay, yeah.
This is, I don't know enough about this.
All
I
right,
do know that
sure.
epidurals are
Go
not just a
ahead.
shot. They're
Yeah,
like
I
in
know.
there the whole time.
No,
And the
I
day that I
know.
find that out was the day when I was like, guess I'm just never having an epidural ever.
Oh,
No.
interesting. Oh no, I've like totally gotten used to it. There's no way I'm
No.
not having it, but listen,
I can
that's bold.
barely deal with an IV in my arm
No, I
long
know,
term.
me too. But like, I also don't want to
Like
be
the
in extreme
feeling of it.
pain. No, I know. I know. It's awful. But also, like, yeah, no, I don't know. Listen, the thing is that you're not going to feel it. That's the whole point.
No, but you like you would still feel it under your skin, you know? Like it's only
Right.
the lower half of
Listen,
your
to my
body.
core, I am a painkiller bitch. So, like, you're not going to convince me. Like, when people are like, oh, I just don't take ibuprofen when I have a headache, like, listen, couldn't be me. Could not
I
be.
mean, yeah,
Like, why
yeah.
though? Listen,
Well, that's yeah, I don't know, yeah, that's silly. I think I just
something
also
about,
maybe have a higher pain tolerance because I've been
sure,
exposed to more pain.
right. Sure. But that doesn't mean, like, I don't know.
I don't know. The cons of an epidural outweigh the pros for me personally.
Right. The problem is that I don't think that's true. And by the time you realize that I'm right, it's going to be too late for you to do anything about it. Like, that's the fundamental issue here, the crux, as it were.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Right? Because, like, for some reason, isn't there like a point at which it's too late to do it?
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
they always say in
absolutely.
movies. Maybe that's not actually true.
Once you're dilated too much, there's like a point that
Mm,
they don't do it
that's
anymore.
really bold.
Also, listener, just to roll back to the giving birth on your back thing, that also increases your likelihood of tearing. So like, you know how like it's a
No,
thing that you could like
exactly. Because,
get ripped
like,
all the way down from your vag to your
and
butthole?
sometimes they do it on purpose. It's called an
Yeah.
episiotomy.
You know what could help that not happen? If you gave birth squatting instead of
There's like a lot of things that would be, yeah.
that
Mhm.
would be improved by squatting instead of
Yeah. Or
any
even
other
like
position.
hands and knees. Like, I think hands and knees is like,
Oh, hands and
for
knees is also good. I also realized in the scene, so like they show Simon's mom, and obviously like she dies here. But
mm,
when she was like doing like a pained grimace, there was just something about her mouth that reminded me of Daphne's mouth. Like her teeth, like they looked the same. And then
mm.
I was like, so this whole series tries to convince us that Simon has daddy issues, but I think it's actually mommy issues. That's why he falls for
Porque no
Daphne.
los dos. Listen.
That's why he falls for Daphne because
Yeah.
she reminds him of his mom. Just just
Yeah.
saying.
Well, he doesn't know what his mom looks like. I guess there's like that one picture.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what you think. Maybe he has some sort of latent memory.
I think it's really bold that they have Simon. They show Simon with a sex worker, with like a prostitute after he already met Daphne.
Oh
Because I think
yeah,
we can all agree, like, that's fine if like they haven't met yet, but like once they meet, that's the hard cutoff. Listen, that's the
no,
cutoff. Or like they can show it and be like, oh, but I just like couldn't get it up. Like,
yeah. I'm okay
that's
with
the
that.
classic
Of
move. Is like the hero is like, or I don't like they're
I
not
need to forget
fully.
about her. Then he comes there and he's like, I
Yeah.
can't do it. I can't do
Right.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and they just boldly had him like waking up and like paying someone. Like, mm,
Yeah, yeah. There's a Lisa Kleypas novel called Dreaming of You with one of her like best heroes, Derek Craven. And that book is like unusual. It's from the 90s, so like it's like not like a modern romance. And it's unusual because there's a big chunk in the middle in which the hero and the heroine are separated, which like you don't see
mhm,
anymore. Like if it's more than a few
mhm,
pages of them not together, like that's whatever.
mhm,
And during that, the hero is like pining after her so much that he like runs like a gambling club and he gets one of his sex workers to like wear a blonde wig, which is like like
mhm.
basically like dress up as the heroine.
Yeah.
because he wants to like, and he like calls her by the heroine's name, and like one of the other sex workers like comes to the heroine and she's like, yeah, it was like really weird, and like you don't know whether he like actually like fucked the sex worker or not, or like whether he just like role played, but like I was like that I'm okay with, because he's just being like a desperate little boy.
Yeah, but like still, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. It's just like yeah, it's just like something, and that's like, I mean, I guess like the show, well, at least by the second season, but like even now it's like not quite, it's really, I mean, it's not trying to be like just a romance really, like that's not even like the only.
Bridgerton.
Yeah. Like it's, it's like the ensemble cast and stuff, and especially by the second season.
Oh yeah,
But
the
like
second
it's
season when they
interesting
just
like
throw the main couple under the bus.
which rules, yeah, they like really are okay to bend and snap. Yeah.
Like having all the Bridgerton siblings on the page on the screen,
Mhm.
which poor
But I like the
Francesca, like
family
it's a meme
scenes.
at this point. It's a meme at this point.
I
Like Francesca just
know.
like not, oh, Francesca's off visiting an aunt.
It really is.
Why isn't she there? There's no reason.
Did we have like the actress had a reason, right? Like there was a reason.
Season
And then they
2, the actress
recast
had
her,
a reason.
right?
Yes, to
Yeah.
like age her up. Season 2, the actress had a reason because the filming was all wonky, like she had to start filming something else
Mhm.
for Netflix, so like they had to write her out.
Mm.
Season 1, there's no
For
excuse.
Netflix.
There's no reason for
Yeah.
for Francesca to
They
not be
just
there.
really said like,
They
why
were just like,
Francesca?
oh,
They cast.
bye. And like there's even a scene later on in which Violet is like, all of the family together again. And I'm like, you have another daughter. She's not here.
Listen, I like the family scenes though. Like when they have the
Yeah.
when Eloise is like, how our baby's made.
Yeah.
It was cute, but like also kind of like, I don't know, it's just like foreshadowing like Daphne not knowing anything. Like, I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, that's definitely how it is. This episode was
Yeah.
funny though. Like that, like
No, it
when
was.
Alois
Yeah.
comes in is like how to make a baby, and then when Penelope's asking Marina like how did you get pregnant, and like
Yeah, like how do we make sure it doesn't
Marina's
have
like
masks?
cake, and like Penelope like puts
Yeah.
down her cake and is like, and then
Yeah.
like when like Penelope at the end, like they're having a picnic and Penelope's like, Mama, may I go play with Eloise?
Yeah,
And
I
her
know.
mom's
That
like,
was
you don't
so,
play. And she's like, may I go promenade with
I
Eloise?
know. It was so
But it's
sad.
so like she's 17, the character.
Yeah. No, I
Which is
know.
funny because both the actresses for Eloise and Penelope are like 30.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is. But like somehow you still believe it for both of them. Like
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
They are children.
Absolutely.
And like so this whole yeah. So like this whole time, I guess like I don't know what to talk about. Like so like when they're doing the flashbacks for Nigel, this is they introduce the
You
weird
mean for
like
Simon?
Simon, yeah, Simon, sorry. The weird like the monarchy granted us this land and they could take it back. Like the weird, like
Yeah.
unnecessary backstory of like why there's black people, like for no reason. Like listen,
It just
it's just
yeah. And I mean, we're
so
not the first people to bring this up. We won't be like, this was like a
no.
big discussion point, especially for season 1.
But like immediately we were like, what the fuck? Like why? Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Basically the show needs to make up its mind. Like, is this a fantasy version of Regency England, which I'm pretty sure it has been called that by like creators of the show, that it's supposed to be like a fantasy world. That's why it's not historically accurate, all of that. Is this a fantasy world that's like a post-racial utopia, or is this a world in which there was racism until the king married a black woman and then suddenly there's no racism anymore? And like the dad in the flashbacks is like, we have to be exceptional or they can take away our
Yeah.
dukedom. And I'm like, that's not how that
Yeah.
works, sir. That's not
No.
how that works.
It's
You gotta like
no.
commit treason for them to take it away. Like you can't,
Right.
my dude.
Right.
That's the
No,
whole
it's
point,
really
is that you don't have to be exceptional and you still get to
no.
keep it.
Yeah, and it's not the same, but like it has the same feel of like just shoehorning in, like the same as like Eloise being like Eloise's feminism. Like it's
Yeah.
just very like why this is not
It's like you didn't
something
think
we
this
need.
through.
No, it's like not something you
You're
just like,
trying to be, not to use the word woke, but
but like
like
yeah, like it's
this is
just
like you're trying to be woke.
you're trying to tell and not show for some reason. Yeah, and like
You're
not
trying to like, there's no reason, like unless you're like actually going to deconstruct race, like don't,
no,
why
it's
you
so
bring, you know what I mean?
interesting.
Like
Yeah.
what is it? And then in season 2, like I feel like they don't really do the racial aspect at all. I think they learned, but it's like interesting
Mhm.
because it's like, okay, you addressed like black people being members of the aristocracy, but like we're not going to address like Britain and India and like that whole
Mm-mm.
shebang. Like, we're not going to talk about that, even though like
Mm-mm.
our heroine literally lived in India almost her entire like. We're just okay, fine. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just needs to make up its mind about like what it wants to do.
Yeah. And then okay, so this whole time, so like Daphne punches Nigel in the last episode, like Nigel's an asshole. And the whole time I'm like, why don't they just tell Nigel what why don't they just tell Anthony what Nigel did? Because Anthony's like still really pushing Nigel at this point. And like, I guess like we had an answer to that. It's like because Anthony can't be cool and like Daphne somehow foresees like the problems this will cause, like which is
Also,
Nigel
Daphne's
blackmailing
like, I
them.
don't think he'd necessarily believe me.
Yeah, I guess so, but, like, why not try? I mean, I think the only plausible reason is, like, because she foresees, like, because then Anthony won't be cool and it will cause Nigel to,
And he's
like
not cool. Yeah.
yeah, he's not cool. It will cause Nigel to, like, become, like, even more of an asshole, like, even more desperate or whatever.
And the Nigel thing is really the only thing like this whole season that I'm like, okay, Anthony was in the wrong here. The rest of the time, I'm like, Anthony's right. He's 100%
Mhm.
right.
Oh,
Sorry.
interesting. Oh, no, I'm anti Anthony. I just, like, there's no reason and
Um,
I get that listen, I get that it's bold of Violet because I guess like I actually forgot about this because we don't really find out about it until the next season. Like the fact that Violet really did parentify Anthony, right? Like Anthony was forced into this like by Violet,
mhm.
not really like taking on that role.
Yeah.
But as we are right now, and I guess my brain just fully leaned into forgetting like the extra information I knew. But like Anthony is just like this little obnoxious boy who's like trying to like front as like the head of the family, but like he is like a child and like there is very much like an actual parental figure who's like capable of at least this task.
Well, yeah, I
He's
don't
like
know. I
getting
view that
his
as
he's
like
getting put
very
in his
explicit.
place.
Like, Anthony is parentified and he's like not good at it because he's still a
Well,
child.
but we
And
didn't know that like at this time. Like it doesn't seem in this
I mean,
season, it's not
I don't
Anthony
know.
parentified. It's like Anthony trying to parentify himself. Like, I don't know.
I I don't know because in this or no, it was in the first episode when Violet is like, Anthony, like you aren't being responsible, blah 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 blah, like you suck. Like it's very like he is like looking at his dad's pocket watch. He like looks
Well,
up at his
yeah.
dad's portrait. Like that scene is very specific. Okay, like
But
Anthony's
that
trying to live up to their dead
well,
father.
yeah, and badly, but that doesn't mean that Violet is trying to force him to, the way that we find out in the second season. Like, not
I don't
force, but,
know.
like, basically put it on his
Yeah.
shoulders
I guess
without
I just never forgot that because like that's also in the books
yeah.
that like Anthony is parent, like that's his whole character arc.
Mm,
So there was
kind of.
never a point when I was watching this show and I wasn't like,
Is it? Is that really in the books that Violet, like, reneges on her, like, being a parent?
not
I don't
necessarily
think
that
so.
Violet
Reneges?
reneges,
I
but
don't
it,
know.
it is it's in the prologue, I'm pretty sure, where Anthony is like his dad died and he had to become the man of the and he had to become
Well,
the leader
yeah,
of the
but
family at
that's
18.
sure. But, like, that's different than, like, saying to yourself, like, I'm the man of the I have to be the leader of the family, the man of the house is different than, like, there's literally no parents, like, you're forced by circumstance to, like, step into this role.
I feel like it is like that, I don't know, Violet's like sad and like he does kind of have
I
to
don't know if
like,
that's in the books, but
I don't know.
yeah.
It's been a while. I don't know. There was never a point in which I was like not sympathetic towards Anthony.
Interesting. No, I was, like, fully just, like, he's feral, like, and I just the where, like, feral Anthony, like, realizes Daphne thinks he's trash and, like, wouldn't and that she thinks he wouldn't have believed her, like, that's
Yeah.
listen, he at that point, I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yeah. Even though the like and then Nigel Burbank thing, like even though I'd read the book, like that was actually like I remember watching it and you were really surprised when I said this when we were first watching it, where I was like actually like tense. But I was like, how are they gonna resolve this? And they
Oh, me
resolve it in this
too.
episode. But I
No,
remember
no,
being
I
like,
was also
what?
tense. No, I remembered being
Yeah.
tense. Yeah, I couldn't, like, figure out what they were gonna do. No, and it's so interesting that they made Nigel, like, such a different character than he is in the book. Because in the book, he's, like, basically the cheese man that ends up with, like, Prudence or Philippa, whichever one, like, that was supposed to be just, like, Nigel, I feel like, and instead they make him, like, totally a villain, like, rapist, full on, the whole shebang,
Yeah, like
not just, like, a
really
bumbling dummy who
bad.
who Daphne doesn't wanna kiss. Which I guess, like,
Yeah.
ostensibly in the book, like, he also does try to, like,
Force
kiss
himself
her
on her.
without her consent, but it's like, I don't know. Again, the narrative gaslighting, it's like played off as much less like sinister somehow. Like he's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, bumbling. And so maybe it really is the same as book Nigel and just like the show just shows it like how it actually would
I
be. I mean,
guess.
He doesn't like explicitly like blackmail anyone in the
He
show
doesn't
and the
really
book and
appear in the
yeah,
book.
like do anything else besides get punched and then like end up with
Yeah.
Philip or Prudence or whichever one. Yeah, so for like for a while there, it's like Violet's like, I guess you're gonna have to marry Daphne. I guess you're gonna have to marry Nigel. Like, listen, should be fine. Before this queen like comes to their rescue.
And it's like, be gossipy. And Violet's like, we're going to do what women do best, gossip.
Yeah, and
And I
also
was like, well.
no, and also like use the servants. Yeah, like they like have the servants do it. And I was just thinking about this from like I don't know, like imagine you're the servant and like you basically trick like you get like the Bird Book's lady's maid to like spill the tea. Like wouldn't that be a stab in the back to the lady's maid? Like wouldn't she realize
Yeah,
she'd
but
been
you're loyal
played?
to your family.
Yeah, but are you? Like really? You're a servant? You're really going to tell me that like your connections with the other people who are actually like your social
There's no
equals aren't?
class solidarity here yet, Rachel. That's like 20 years later down the line.
No, but I'm just saying like socially, like you're still going to talk to like imagine
Yeah.
not even from like a theoretical standpoint, I just mean like from an interpersonal standpoint, like you're really going to like stab your fellow, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like to
It
further the
is. I
boss's
mean, I think
agenda.
it is a good plot line insofar as it's like,
It's
okay,
really
here's
clever,
like the
yeah.
unacknowledged power that women did have, like, you know,
Mm,
the same way that like history doesn't acknowledge like all the like housework and like childcare and
mhm,
like all of these things that like women were mostly doing that enabled all these men to like do these great things or
mhm,
whatever.
mhm.
Like I did like that aspect, but it was also, it was just once again, I was like, you guys just didn't, you didn't read this through enough. I was like, you need to like read just like a few more books on feminism and then come back to me, because like you're
Yeah.
really like what women do best. Like that's the title of the soundtrack song that plays.
Oh, really?
What women do best. And I was like, anyway.
Well, it's social function of gossip. I don't know. Like,
No, it's definitely important because that's the thing is like it's the conflict where it's like it's both like women are just such gossipers and also like women
mm,
have this like this power that's like unacknowledged, this like social
yeah.
power.
I'm not
It's
sure
in
what you're criticizing,
conflict.
to be honest, because like these rich
I'm
women are not doing
just
shit when it comes to cleaning or anything. Like,
well, yeah. I'm just personally in
unclear.
general, just like I mean, we said like the conflict, the like
Yeah, I just don't know if this
the
particular
show's
thing is an
inability to
example.
like make up its mind. And I think it's also that also applies to like how Daphne's constantly like, I will be ruined. And she always says it like that. And I hate it with all my
Oh,
soul.
Daphne's just annoying. It's more and more
I
annoying. It
mean,
has
neither
no chemistry
Daphne or
with
Simon, I'm
Simon.
sorry, are
No,
good
they have
actors.
nothing.
I'm
No.
sorry. Like, I think Simon's a good stage actor. I've seen videos of him on stage, but he's not good on
Yeah,
screen.
I
He's just
remember
not a good
hearing
screen
that.
actor. And I think
Yeah.
Daphne is just not a good
Mm.
actress in general. That's why like season 2, you were like, whoa, like Olivier Award winning Jonathan Bailey, like
Oh,
finally someone who could fucking act. Yeah, anyway, no, but she's like, yeah, she's like, oh, I'll be ruined. Like this whole, I think the whole like I'm gonna be ruined plot line like never actually felt that like pressing or suspenseful or like actually something that was like a conflict.
well, but I guess it's like at the end of the day, it's interesting because it doesn't really matter if like anything actually happened. Like that's what's weird is that like Nigel could say that shit no matter what.
What right.
And that's
Right. The
always
show
like is
doesn't really address that.
interesting.
And I was
No
thinking
one ever
about
addresses that.
but I was thinking about that like in real life. Like why didn't that happen more? Like in
Yeah.
history, I was trying to I couldn't figure out. I was like there had to have been some sort of social mechanism that prevented people from doing this,
Mhm.
from like just making something up, because
Mhm.
otherwise I feel like that would have been far more
Yeah. I mean, it
pressing.
is like yeah. Yeah, and no, and the rumor that they spread about Nigel, like unclear if that would actually have been enough to like get him away from Daphne
I don't
versus
think
just
it
like
would
make him
have.
double down. It doesn't make any sense, but like I'm willing to
No.
suspend disbelief because it is like it's like you said, like we were waiting to see like how they would fix this, and it is like a clever
Yeah.
like
And it
storyline.
wasn't, it's interesting that it wasn't the fact that he had an illegitimate child. It was the fact that he like didn't pay for them, which was
Mhm.
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like thinking about historically, that was actually a thing of like, if you
You're
were
looked
going
down
to have
on.
an acknowledged like bastard
Well, he
and
didn't
you didn't,
acknowledge it though.
I mean, he
Then you didn't.
did.
How?
Well, like he was like that, like he didn't deny, whatever, maybe not acknowledge. Like if you were going to have a bastard that everyone knew was your bastard and you
Mhm.
didn't provide for it,
Yeah.
that was like very shameful, particularly if you're someone like rich.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Wasn't the church, like, in on that? Because they were like, "Otherwise, it's gonna be on us to, like, take care of them."
Yeah, the parish has to pay for it if
Listen,
the guy
child
doesn't.
support.
And I
Yeah,
mean, listen,
it's interesting.
say what you want about the Church of England, but they did get that one thing right. I feel like at least we have that. Pay your child
I just
support.
feel like there's something still missing there. Yeah, but, like,
Yeah, like at the bare minimum,
you finish
forcing
let
men to
women
pay
get
child
jobs. Yeah,
support.
or, like, yeah, no, listen. Yeah.
But yeah, so when Daphne's still like thinking that she has to marry Nigel Burbuck, Violet comes in. I don't know. I can't really articulate why exactly I found this so funny. But she comes in and she's like, I've taught you that marriage is the best thing, like, the marriage is the best life has to offer. And that's still true, even though you're married. I'm
No, I
just
know,
like,
that's what I was saying,
the
like, Violet just,
audacity,
like,
Violet.
Violet really just leans in. I mean, like, I guess what else is she gonna say? Like,
Yeah.
no, but the fact that she just, like, accepts it is and it takes it but listen, the queen comes in clutch, like, it really takes the queen, like,
Yeah.
stepping in,
The
which I
queen's
don't know if
like
I love that.
gossip
Yeah,
ladies. Well,
Violet is, like, really not great in this whole at least, like, up
no.
to this point in that I mean, just this whole season really is
No,
not
this whole season,
Violet's
Violet
best
is
light. Violet really
no.
sucks, actually, like, in a lot of, like maybe just overall in the show, actually, now that I'm thinking, like, because we find out even more, like
Well, yeah, because she parentifies. We get the whole parentification of Anthony. Yeah, no, Violet, not great. She's portrayed as being this great mom. The show also is constantly like, you're a Bridgerton. Like, blah, blah, blah. You're like, the Bridgertons are the most eminent family in the
right, like,
ton.
Nigel's
And I
always saying
wish we
that.
had gotten more of that. Like, I can accept that like the Bridgertons are just popular because everyone likes them, but just like the whole like you're a Bridgerton, like, and it's like multiple times it's like you can do this, you're a Bridgerton, and I'm just like I don't know what that means. I feel like I wanted more
No.
like family scenes.
Yeah, it's so much, like, telling, not showing.
Yeah. I mean, also with the with the sibling relationship, we have that scene between like Eloise and Benedict when
The
they're
gay sibling
outside,
smoking
and
scene,
I
yeah.
was literally like, what is this scene if
It's the
not
gay
a
sibling
duel
smoking
coming out?
scene.
I was like, what could
Yeah.
be gayer than two siblings sitting out in the dark on swings, smoking illicit cigarettes and brooding and like being rich and aristocratic and super privileged and acting like they're
And
oppressed?
like,
Like,
self-hating, yeah.
what's gayer than this? I can't think of anything.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And yet they're not going to make them gay. And it's just,
You never know. I
no,
mean,
I
you do
don't.
know. Listen, apparently the showrunner's a gay man. That's something.
Not anymore. Well,
Not
he's like
anymore.
not really in charge anymore. He's
Why?
not
I
the
wonder
showrunner
why.
anymore.
Why'd they get rid of him?
I don't know. I could never dig up whether it was like he was like, all right, 2 seasons, I'm done,
Mhm.
or whether like they kicked him out.
Yeah, and I
And
get
he's
it.
not a very
It's a
good
lot of
writer.
work. Is he wait, he's the head writer? He's the showrunner?
He was the showrunner and the writer. Like
Okay. I don't know why I thought it
he's
was, like, showrunner.
wrote it
Yeah.
several episodes that season. He's like the single writing credit, and then I'm sure
Yeah.
he was also involved like in the final scripts of like the rest of the episodes.
Mhm. I really just love the Bridgerton house decor. I don't know why this is where I wrote that noted, but it's just really nice. Not that, like, I don't know, I think I personally would like more color, but it is very aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's
Uh-huh.
simultaneously washed out and also very aesthetically pleasing,
Uh-huh.
you know?
Yeah, the Featheringtons are the ones who get all the color.
Which
Or
is
the
nice.
Bridgertons are just like kind
But
of
it's
pale.
very, like yeah, but it's very, like, nice and cohesive and
Yeah.
detailed, and, like, crown molding work and
I
such, and
love
the
crown
pale
molding.
blue. Yeah. Especially when you don't have to dust it, when someone else can dust it.
Well,
Listen.
listener, I was telling Rachel that I dusted, like I saw the bottom of our office chair for the first time in my life, and there was like an inch thick layer of dust.
How?
The office chair, there's like a thing, there's like the seat that's like mesh, and then like underneath there's like a little like metal, like the metal frame or
Oh,
whatever.
okay. I thought you
And
meant, like, somehow it
on
was sticking
that,
upside down.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, on that was literally an inch thick layer
No, Alison,
of
that house is
dust.
so dusty. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And it took me at least 25 minutes to like fully clean it, and like countless paper towels and like sprays of like, it still smells like the dust spray in here 24
Ooh,
hours later
a
in
big
this
life
office.
hack is just, like, use it actual wet towel instead of paper towels to dust because like and then just like put it in the laundry. But like it's I don't know, at least for me, like
I
it's a
don't
lot
think
less
you understand
frustrating.
like how like the because it was like super like
No, I understand that.
small.
No, no, no. I'm not saying it
Yeah.
would make it easier. I mean, I'm saying it would make it easier, but like I'm not saying
Yeah.
the reason it was hard was solely the paper. I'm just that was just the
Yeah.
general thing I
Anyway, it was
remembered.
horrible. And anyway, so I looked because the seat of the chair is mesh. I you can like see the frame underneath. And I
But
looked
we
on it and
never looked.
I was like, have I just like never like noticed it
Yeah.
just because like that's not something that you really notice, or was it just so covered in dust
Oh,
that
it
it
looked
was not
bad.
visible? When I'm not exaggerating when I say it was an inch thick. I'm
Mhm.
not. You can ask
I believe
Stefan.
you. I believe
Like,
you. I'm about to go dust my baseboard, so now that we just talked about that, listen.
happy for you. Um
Yeah.
yeah. We also get Hyacinth's birth, Rachel, your favorite part of
Yeah, the
the
first time, my favorite
series.
part. No, I just think it's funny that they bring it in every time. Like we were saying, like, is it going to be like we have each character we find out by the second season seems to have like their own different traumatic backstory about Hyacinth's birth, and I wonder if it'll be introduced with like each character in their season, culminating with Hyacinth's own trauma of being born.
If it doesn't, if the season 8 does not open with
Yeah.
Hyacinth coming out of the birth canal, then what was the
And being
point of it all?
traumatized, like, somehow having a memory yeah. Well, like, and Eloise is, like, trying to be really real with Daphne for once, and is like, "Aren't you afraid of having kids? Like, don't you remember, like, our mom almost died? Like, sometimes I still hear her screams at night." And Daphne just, like, turns around and give this trite, like, there are dark turns in our lives, but I believe there's light at the end." And, like, Eloise is like, "Wow, it must be hard." And Daphne's like, "What?" She's like, "You're always fronting like this.
Like
Like,
your
you do not have to front for me."
self-delusion.
And, like, yeah, can you imagine, like
But I
your sister
also
being either so fake or deluded all the time, like zero critical thinking. Like I feel like I've met I've
I
met a
think she's
few people in my
deluded.
life
That's
like
the
that
thing,
with
is
like
I don't think it's
zero,
fake.
but it's like zero cynicism, and it's just like insufferable. Like,
Well, but that's my thing is like Eloise is like, "Oh, you're putting on a show." But I'm like, "I don't think it's a show. I think Daphne
which is
literally like
almost
is just
worse. Like
genuinely that naive."
unclear, yeah, and not just naive. It's just like it's not. It's like it's just how do you like go through like zero critical thinking skills? Like it never occurred to you to be like maybe I should question. Like I don't know. I'm trying to like it's just so interesting.
I mean, Daphne's like 18. I'm thinking about
Okay.
like me of 18, like how we were like, raised like conservative and
Yeah, I guess, like, some
like
things,
I don't
yeah.
think I was questioning it a tiny bit, but that was really
Mhm.
only because I did theater and I had a lot of gay friends. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like
Like, I
it
guess
really
on
wasn't
some
something that
things.
I unpacked until college. So I can imagine like being and she's even more isolated. And even like she doesn't have access to the internet or books or like
But it just seems like Daphne questions nothing, but Eloise doesn't either, is the thing. Eloise doesn't either.
yeah, well, Eloise has girl boss feminism. Like Eloise has 21st century
Mm.
feminism. She has
Yeah,
like
sure.
it's so
Yeah,
and not even intersectional feminism. She has like
yeah,
21st century white feminism. Like that's what she
yeah.
has.
Just, like, have you ever met anyone like, I don't know, I'm just like,
That
yeah.
naive.
Not naive is not the right word. 'Cause naive implies that it's just an access to information issue. I'm talking about, like, you literally it just doesn't occur to you to question any that, like, something could be bad instead of good. Like, I don't know, like, just
Yeah.
dilute it. Like, even when someone else is telling no, it's not and it's even, like, Eloise is telling her, like, what could be the problem, and she still is, like,
What?
just not processing it.
No.
Yeah, like, it's just so bold and, like, so convinced that she's right, you know what I mean? Like, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really think that it was important for Daphne. I mean, she's obviously the first book, but it was important for her to be this character in season 1 so that they could hook everyone by making Daphne's character so bland that anyone could imprint themselves on her. You know what I mean? Like anyone can like she
Like,
has no defining
self-insert?
character, so like you can self-insert yourself to like make out with the hot duke. I really think that's what they were going. Because
Maybe.
also the only reason people liked Simon was because Reggae John Page is super hot.
Mm,
That was it. That when people were
fair
mad that
enough.
he wasn't in season 2, it was because they were like, "Ah, he was the hottest one."
Because it doesn't make sense. No, that's true, I guess. But it was also just
Like this season is like hot man, self-insert white woman. That's what it is. I
mm, fair enough.
feel like if we've been really critical of this, I don't know. I really like Bridgerton. I
Yeah.
just
No,
want to make that
I know.
clear.
I know. I know.
No,
No,
to
we
our
do.
listeners, I
Yeah.
want to make
No,
that
no,
clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
We really
Yeah.
like it. We just
It's just
engage
like
with
the
content
yeah.
by nitpicking.
Yeah, like
just
that's
how
the
we
interesting things to talk about. Yeah.
that's how I engage. That's how I engage with things that I like, is I
Yeah.
nitpick.
Yeah,
Like, because
exactly.
I think about them.
Yeah,
When you think,
exactly.
it's not just like, oh, that was fine. Like, I watched that. I'm not gonna think about
Yeah,
it
there's only
again.
so much you can
It's
say
like,
about
I
things you
enjoyed
like.
that, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna think about it more. I'm like
Mhm.
more invested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which that's actually really interesting. I never really thought about it like that. That like when you like something more, it opens it up more to criticism because you're thinking more deeply about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, it's almost as if the world isn't black and white. Wild.
No, Alison,
Crazy.
you don't understand. There are dark turns in our lives, but I believe that there's light at the end. Like, what if I was just like that all the time? Like, I don't know. It's just so crazy. Like, and maybe because I'm thinking of a specific person I know that is like that, and it's so
Oh, I don't know
insufferable to
that
be
I've ever met a
around.
person like that.
It's so insufferable. It's like you complain about a rule that doesn't make sense, like just something that doesn't make any sense, and you're just like commenting, like you're not even like trying to change it. You're just like,
Yeah.
and they're like, no, like it really does make sense. Like here's why, and then like try. It's like no, it just doesn't. It's just dumb, and you're dumb. Like.
And on that note, that's the end of episode 2. Again, cat
Woohoo.
scale at the end of the season. I also want to say, so far, cat scale's very low. Like, very low. I was thinking about it. I actually made a note this episode. I was like, there are several little dogs, like different little dogs that are appearing. The queen has Pomeranians. Penelope has Yorkies. Like, there are lots of dogs. No cats. Not a single cat. I don't think a cat makes an appearance in either of the seasons. Not one.
The horns somehow though, or could be claws. The horns could be claws. Like Daphne could have a secret cat on her head. Like if she had slightly bigger hair, she doesn't. But like,
just little paws.
That's why her hair is so big. It's full of kitties. Listen,
it's like a little kitten woven into her braids, like underneath her tiara.
Oh God! Wait, who? The queen?
The tiara is actually a bedazzled cat.
Oh wait, Daphne's hair? Yeah, no, Daphne's hair is not big enough. Unfortunately, Daphne's hair is very like.
No.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm leaving you the opening.
Hey, Alison, where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at We Read It One Night, Twitter at We Read It Podcast. You can find our branded podcast merch on Redbubble and our fun, vibey feminist cat merch on Etsy. And you can also leave us a rating and review right now. Just right now, this episode, it won't even be over. That's how quick it takes for it to do it. Like you will be able to do it before the little jingle at the end of every episode plays. You'll be able to do it right now. Ready? And go. Oh my God, you did it. Wow, so fast. Wow. So fast. Good job.
Woohoo. Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.